We're on the record. Aloha mai kako. Good morning. This is the December 7th, 2022 Land Use Commission meeting. It's also the day that we recognize Pearl Harbor from many years ago. This is an in-person meeting which is being held at the Homer A. Maxey Center Conference Room, Foreign Trade Zone number 9 at 521 Ala Moana Boulevard, and this meeting is open to the public. Court reporting transcripts are being done from this Zoom recording. For all meeting participants, I would like to stress the importance of speaking slowly, clearly, and directly into your microphone. Before speaking, please state your name and identify yourself for the record. Even though this is an in-person meeting, please be aware that all meeting participants are being recorded on the digital record of this Zoom meeting. This is being done for court reporting purposes. Your continued participation is your implied consent to be part of the public record of this event. If you do not wish to be part of the public record, you should exit the meeting now. I will also share with all participants that we will be taking breaks from time to time. Typically, about every hour, we'll take a break of 5 to 10 minutes. And depending on how long we go today, we'll also take a lunch break. My name is Dan Giovanni, and I have the pleasure to serve as the LUC chair. We currently have 9 seated commissioners, and all 9 are seated in the room today for the first time ever. So I'm very happy about that. So along with me, to my immediate right is Nancy Cabral. She's from the island of Hawaii. Leo Higashi is from the island of Maui. Don Chang, Gary Okuda, Amakea Ohelo, George Atta are all here from OAHU, and Commissioner Yamane is here from the island of Kauai, which is where I'm from. And also Commissioner Kahele is here. Also in attendance are the LUC Executive Director, Daniel Orendanker, LUC Chief Planner, Scott Derrickson, LUC Staff Planner, Riley Hakoda, LUC Staff Planner, Martina Segura, LUC Chief Clerk, Ariana Kwan, and with us today, LUC Attorney General is Julie China. Again, reporting transcripts are being done from this Zoom meeting. Our first order of business is the adoption of the November 16th, 2022 minutes. Ms. Kwan, has there been any written testimony submitted on the November 16th, 2022 minutes?
No, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. And believe it or not, she does not have a microphone. Are there any members of the public who have signed up to testify in the adoption of the November 16th minutes? Ms. Kwan?
No, Mr. Chair.
Love it. Commissioners, are there any corrections or comments on the minutes? If not, is there a motion to adopt the minutes for the November 16th, 2022 meeting? So moved by Commissioner Ohigashi. Do I have a second? Commissioner Atta is a second. All in favor of adoption of the minutes, please say aye. Aye. Are there any opposed?
I'd like to abstain as I was not present.
Very well. Thank you. That was Commissioner Cabral. Just a friendly reminder to state your name before you
Yes.
speak on the next agenda item is the tentative meeting schedule. Mr. Orendanker, please share with us the tentative meeting schedule.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Chair. We do not have any meetings scheduled for the end of December. or January currently. However, we are anticipating some motions to be filed, so we would request the commissioners keep the January dates open for now. In February, we will be on Maui for the Pulama Lanai Miki Basin Adoption of Order. February 8th. On February 22nd, we will be in Kona for the WYO Limited Partnership matter. And once again, that is all we currently have on the calendar for the next calendar year, but we will request that the commissioners keep the dates open, other dates open until we are confirmed that we will not be holding hearings.
Let me remind commissioners that Ms. Kwan has contacted each of us by email with some tentative dates. So please respond to her if you've not already done so with an indication of your availability for the dates. I think that's through March of 2023. So commissioners, do you have any further questions on the schedule? Hearing none, we'll move forward to our fourth order of business, and it's a briefing by our Deputy Attorney General. The briefing and update is on the following cases which are on appeal. First is the Spirit of Aloha Temple versus County of Maui, 49th F, 4th, 1180, 9th Circuit, 2022. And the second is the Ho'o Moana Foundation versus Land Use Commission, number SCWC-17-000181. So, Ms. Chena, will you be leading the presentations?
No, it will be led by Deputy Attorney General Robert Nakatsuji, who's on by Zoom.
Very well. So that's Robert Nakatsuji, and he's on by Zoom, and he will be making the presentations on both matters.
Correct.
Thank you. Has there been any public testimony on this matter, Ms. Kwan?
No, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Are there any members of the public who wish to testify on this matter? Seeing none. Since this agenda item pertains to the board's powers, duties, privileges, immunities, and liabilities in regards to litigation and appellate proceedings, I will entertain a motion to go into executive session to consult with the Attorney General concerning Spirit of Aloha Temple versus County of Maui and the Ho'o Moana Foundation versus Land Use. Commissioners, what's your pleasure? Commissioner Ohigashi.
Move to go into executive session to our legal counsel regard to -5.
So I've had a motion to go into executive session by Commissioner Ohigashi. Session. Are there any?
Chair. Gary Okuda. Chair, would it make sense maybe to defer this matter to the end of the calendar or agenda so that maybe the HASEKO matter can be taken up before that, if everyone's schedule still allows?
The motion on that? Please recommend that a reordering of. Mr. Okuda, I understand that we have limited availability of Mr. Nakatsuji.
Oh, okay, then I withdraw my request if his availability is
Yeah, I
limited.
just learned that, so we'll proceed as originally planned.
Okay, I withdraw my request then.
Okay. Is there any discussion on the motion to go into executive session? Hearing none, I need a vote on this, or? So could I have All in favor of going into executive sessions, stipulate by saying aye. Any opposed? No. So we will go into executive session. We ask all of our visitors and participants, except for the commission, to adjourn from the room for the time being. I don't anticipate that this will be a very long executive session. And Ms. Gina, who will be accompanying us from your office?
I will be here and Mr. Nakatsuchi will be here.
You'll be on by Zoom, I
Yes.
presume. Okay, thank you. Back on the record. Our fifth order of business is to consider the petitioner's motion for approval of job credits for A9-651 HASEKO EVA OAHU. This was filed on September 20th, 2022, as required by the decision and order approving the petition to convert the agricultural land use district boundary into urban land use district for approximately 403.008 acres at Honolulu, Ewa, Oahu, Hawaii, tax map P 9-1-12:5, portion 5 portion, 6 portion, and 23 portion. Let me briefly explain our procedure as we go forward. First, I will ask if there are any disclosures from the commissioners. Then I will ask the parties to identify themselves and I will update the record. Next, I will give an opportunity for the petitioner to comment on the commission's policy governing reimbursement of hearing expenses. Thirdly, I will recognize the written public testimony that has been submitted in this matter, identifying the person or organizations who has submitted that testimony. Fourth, we'll call on members of the public who wish to testify on A89-651 HASEKO EVA 2022 motion for approval of job credits. Members of the public will have 2 minutes to provide their testimony and should stand by after their testimony to respond to any questions the parties or commissioners may have. When all questions have been completed, the chair will excuse the witness and call for the next witness to enter the witness box. After completion of the public testimony portion of the proceedings, I will give an opportunity for the parties to admit their additional exhibits and witness lists into the record. Then the petitioner to provide its case in support of the petition and receive any questions and comments from the commission. The chair will then call on the City and County of Honolulu Department of Planning to make their case and receive questions and comments from the commissioners. The chair will then call on the Office of Planning and Sustainable Development to make their case and receive questions and comments from the commissioners. The petitioner will then be allowed to make any arguments in rebuttal. In conclusion, I think at that point, I also have to give a second opportunity for public testimony, which I will follow in at that point. At the conclusion of the party's presentation and the commissioner's questions, the public will again be granted the opportunity to provide public testimony the same manner as set forth previously. That's it. Finally, all parties have presented their case on the commission. The commission will conduct formal deliberations and issue a decision on the motion. The chair would also note for the parties and the public that from time to time, I will be calling for short breaks as well as a longer one for lunch as necessary. Is there any comments or objections to these procedures as I've described them? Petitioner or attorney?
None, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tabata. Let me just remind everybody, since there's so many of us in the room today, and to state your name prior to whenever you speak. Okay, do any of the commissioners have any disclosures to make on this matter at this time? Seeing none, I now ask the parties to identify themselves. Petitioner.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, Chair, members of the commission, Curtis Tabata for the petitioner, HASEKO Eva Inc. With me today is Raymond Khanna, the Executive Vice President of HASEKO Eva Inc.
Thank you. State OPSC.
Nurse. Oh, it's not on. Allison Cotto, Deputy Attorney General for the Office of Planning and Sustainable Development. Also here with me today is Katia Palaciano and Marie Maki from the Office of Planning and Sustainable Development. Thank you.
Thank you. City and County of Honolulu.
Good morning, Chair. Commissioner John DeBeal for the City and County of Honolulu, Department of Planning and Permitting. And with me today is Dina Wong of Chief Planner at DPP.
Thank you. Let me update the record. On September 20th, 2022, the commission received petitioner's motion for approval of $572.75 job credits. On September 21st, 2022, the commission received the petitioner's filing for motion for approval of job credits and exhibits 1 through 7. On October 27th, 2022, the petitioner submitted an amended certificate of service. And on November 18th, 2022, the commission received the Office of Planning and Sustainable Development's response to a HASEKO job credit motion and an email from the City and County of Honolulu stating there are no comments regarding this petition. Reimbursement policy. Good morning, Mr. Tabata. Have you received HAR 15-15-45.1 and regarding the reimbursement of hearing expenses?
Curtis Tabata for petitioner. Yes, Chair, and we will comply.
Thank you very much. So noted. Public testimony. I'll now recognize written public testimony submitted in this matter, identifying the person and organization submitting the testimony. Ms. Kwan, has there been any written testimony submitted on this matter?
No, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Kwan. Now I will call for any members of the public to provide testimony on this agenda item. And I see that we have 3 members of the public in attendance that wish to provide public testimony at this time. I will call you to come forward. Riley, could you raise your hand to show them where to come? Come to the chair next to the gentleman who just raised his hand. First, I'd like to call Mr. Mark Bowman to testify. Mr. Bowman, when you get there, please state your full name, address, affiliation, and then I'll swear you in.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Mark Bowman. I live at 91-1120 OAHU Street, Eva Beach, 96706.
Mr. Bowman, do you swear that the testimony you're about to give today will be the truth?
Yes, sir.
Please proceed. You have 2 minutes.
Okay, I come before this committee as both a homeowner in the HASEKO property, specifically Kuapapa, and also as a person that has an organization that spends a lot of time helping middle school to high school kids academically as well as athletically. So as a homeowner, I do speak in favor of the and support of the plan that HASEKO has for our community, just based on what I know about what the plan is and the access for the general public. As the assistant coach of the 76 South Athletic Club, my wife, who is the president and couldn't be here today because of a prior engagement, we spend about 2,000 hours annually giving advice, giving coaching help to athletes in the local area, mostly from Kapolei High School as well as Campbell High School. But we actually right now with about 20 to 30 athletes that we help out, they come from as far away as Kalani, Punahou, Mililani, and other schools. And it basically just goes by word of mouth. Our basic mission is dedicated to maximizing the educational success rate of post-high school students by providing technical, financial, and personal support to exceptional high school students motivated to continue their education. The only requirement that we have for them to meet the category of exceptional is if they want to join our group, there has to be two-way communication, whether they're going to be there, they're not going to be there. And they're focused on trying to make themselves better tomorrow than they were today. The common thread is athleticism, because that's what my wife and I have done for most of our lives. Me as an athlete, and then helping my wife, who's coached at University of Florida, William and Mary, and University of Hawaii, and has an international reputation with the International Athletic Association Federation, which is the governing body of Olympic track and field. So we basically just provide the services. Oh, I thought my time was up. Sorry. What we do is like I say, the only price that is charged is a commitment by the athlete. As long as we can provide services for them and help them out, come up with a plan, help them where they want to go, both academically as well as athletically, then we're partners. Through the period with COVID, we've had a lot of problems finding places that we could meet the requirements of whoever owned it, be it Campbell High School track or whatever. And somewhere during that time and now, HASEKO has stepped forward, specifically through Lisa Inario, and providing us with space to work, staying under the umbrella of USA Track and Field requirements in recognition to all the things that have been going on specifically related to COVID. And they've given us the resources that we need, all donated by them, just basically giving us a place to work, as well as the resources like the Waikai Lagoon to get things done that we feel that we need to do to meet the requirements of the folks that we're working with.
So please summarize.
I'm sorry, summarize. They're not just an organization that's looking to build a facility. They reach out to folks like us and make their resources available to help us help people in the community that are most in need of that help. So they're partners in what we do.
Thank you. Any questions for this witness by the petitioner?
No questions.
City and County of Honolulu?
No questions.
Not City and County, but the Office of Planning and Sustainable Development.
No questions.
Thank you. Fellow commissioners, questions for this witness? Mr. Bowman, can you state how your testimony relates to the issue before us specifically, which is the job credits?
Sure. I guess my summarization is a lot of what you folks are dealing with, I realize, is complex and way out of my lane to make any evaluation on the question at the hand. What I'm here to do is to try and convey what I've seen in the time that I've owned property in Kuopapa, which is since 2016, that they are partners in the community, not just another organization that's looking to build facilities, hotels, wave pools, that type of thing. They're looking to meet the needs in partnership with what the community wants. Now, and I understand there's people that could argue both sides, but from what I've seen, it's been nothing but positive.
Very well. Thank you. Commissioners? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Commissioner.
Next one to call Mr. or Mr. Limani. Fid Limani. Ms. Limani. Please come forward. And when you get there to the magic chair, state your name and affiliation and address for the record, and then I'll swear you in.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Fid Lamani, short for Fidmetka, so I'm having mercy on everybody. But very close. Sometimes you can't tell if I'm male or female just by the name. I am a homeowner in Eva Beach. My address is 91-1007 Kaiko Street in Eva. I'm here. Oh, go ahead.
Do you swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth?
Yes, I do.
Please proceed. You have 2 minutes.
Okay, thank you so much. Before going into my career, I spent a lot of time in my community in Eva Beach. I also sat on the Eva Beach Neighborhood Board. I'm very active. I was active when I did have more time with my community. I was on the Parks Committee, and as a resident, I was waiting a very long time for this marina to come in. I bought my home in 2011, so we were promised, okay, it'll be marina. Then the plans changed. Excuse me. Then the plans changed again. So once I saw that they broke ground and started getting going with the new plans, I was very excited. I was fortunate enough to make time to do the tour in person, and I was really, really impressed. I'm in full support of the plans. I'm in support of what it's going to bring to Eva Beach. It's going to bring jobs, and I have a young kid ready to go by next year. Gotta get these kids out and get working. And I'm so excited that something like this is so close to home, and jobs will be available for the kids and every age group in this area. For the side of the community, I see there's a lot of plans. I see that there's a lot of opportunity. The facilities, the areas that we could be rented for the community is just phenomenal. My family, we all coaches for soccer, and it's something that we could always bring in there. I really excited about all of the tourists that are gonna come and just bring more money in Eva Beach. And I because the way the Eva Beach is developed, I really think that this is going to be a center point for a lot of the residents here, and all of the homes that we have, few thousand in Eva Beach, that this could be our center for our community. But I'm really excited.
Thank you very much.
Mhm.
Questions for the testifier, Mr. Tabata from the petitioner,
Thank you. No questions.
City and County Honolulu,
No questions.
Office of Planning and Sustainable Development.
No questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioners, any questions for this witness? Thank you very much. Coming forward, Ms. Limani. The next person is Ms. Mary Freeman. Ms. Freeman, when you get to the chair, please state your name, affiliation, and address, and then I'll swear you in.
My name is Mary Freeman. I live at 91-6580 Kapolei Parkway, Eva Beach, Hawaii, 96706. I am the president of my HOA, Kainakai Townhomes in Eva Beach.
Great. Do you swear to the testimony you're about to give is the truth?
It is.
You have 2 minutes. Please proceed.
Thank you for having me. I am a resident of Kainakai Townhomes. I moved in 2013. I am very happy with the way HASEKO has treated us. I have gone to their various coffee hours where they explained what was coming. I have also testified in front of the city county as to the pleasures of having this marina. It is going to not only bring jobs, but there are small businesses that will be opening that are local businesses. It gives the local residents a place to go. We don't have to go to Waikiki or Ko'olina for fine dining when you have family coming from the mainland. Again, it's well maintained, it's convenient, and I do not understand any opposition to it. I think it will be a definite plus for Eva Beach. That's my testimony.
Thank you very much. Petitioner, any questions?
No questions.
City and County,
No questions.
OPSC?
No questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Fellow commissioners, any questions?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I just have one.
Commissioner Chang.
I'm sorry. This is Commissioner Chang. Thank you, Ms. Freeman, for being here this morning. I should have asked the other testifiers as well. What is your opinion on, as a result of these credits, HASEKO will be able to proceed forward on their hotel? in your opinion, and you seem to be very active in the community, does the community support the construction and the building of the hotel?
The little non-support that I've heard are from people that seem to have another agenda. They never clearly state, I'm a graduate of the University of Hawaii. I studied Hawaiian history before it was chic and trendy. So I hear things thrown out that, number one, no, that's not what happened. Number two, you're defying the laws of chemistry. And I'm dead serious. I am retired. The arguments that I've seen against it, they are not sound.
But you support
very much. I am looking forward, and this is just personal, to a place I can actually walk to, have a blue Hawaii and walk home. So I'm not driving.
Okay, very good. Thank you so much for your answer.
Thank you for your time.
Commissioner Cabral.
Yes, I also want to thank you and the other testifiers. It is incredibly important and to us as commissioners, because we don't live in your community. We live all over the state. So making any kind of decision to have people that are willing to take off from work and drive here from Eva is not a short drive. My stepson and family live in Kapolei, so I made that drive a few times. So anyway, I want to just outright thank you, all of you, all three of you, for making that effort, because it's very important for us to know what people in the community are thinking. So thank you.
Thank you. And it's important to us that you know how we feel. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Freeman. Are there any other members of the public here today who wish to testify? Raise your hand. Seeing none, we'll proceed with the admission of exhibits. Mr. Tabata, please prescribe any exhibits you wish to have admitted to the record.
Thank you, Chair. Petitioner moves to admit to evidence our exhibits 1 through 7, which is attached to our motion, along with our motion, our amended certificate of service, the responses filed by OPSD and DPP, and the LUC staff report. We ask that those documents be admitted into evidence, please.
Any objection by the parties, City and County, Honolulu?
No objection from the city and county.
OPSD,
No objection. Thank you.
fellow commissioners? We will agree. I will agree to admit those exhibits.
Thank you, Chair.
City and County, do you have any exhibits you wish to admit to the record at this time?
Chair, just for clarity's sake, we submitted testimony on November 30th, which was received. You noted the email, but I also want to make sure that the commission got a copy of our testimony from November 30th. All right, thank you. That's it. That sounds like it's already been approved. Thank you.
Mr. Orndecker, could you confirm out loud?
Yes, Mr. Chair, the county's testimony was not only noted to the commissioners, but is also available on our website for the public.
Nothing else. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Hearing none, we'll proceed to OPSD. Do you have any additional evidence you'd like to put on the record?
OPSD does not have anything additional. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So we'll now proceed with the presentations. Mr. Tabata, for planning purposes, can you describe in general how you will be presenting your case today and approximately how long it will take you?
Thank you, Chair. I have some opening remarks, which will take maybe a minute or two, and then we have two witnesses. We have Daniel Lum and Lisa Honoria. I expect that our presentation should take no more than half an hour to an hour.
Thank you. Please proceed.
Thank you. Petitioner is here today to ask for approval of job credits to allow petitioner to build one hotel unit for each approved job credit. The origination of this job credit requirement is found in condition number 1 in petitioner's 1990 LUC DNO. The purpose of this condition was to create non-tourism jobs. In order to achieve this goal, condition one created three categories in which job credits can be earned. We call these three categories construction job credits, facilities job credits, and training job credits. The construction job credits are calculated based on construction person hours. Facilities job credits are calculated on the square footage of facilities built, and training job credits are calculated based on contributions made for job training. These earned job credits have been reported to the LUC in our annual reports for about the past 30 years, as is required by condition one. We will call our project manager, Daniel Lum, to help explain how we calculated our request for approval of job credits. Mr. Lum will also give a brief description of the master plan project that has been built in this docket, which is called the Ocean Point Ho'akalei project. Our second and final witness is Senior Project Manager Lisa Enanoria. Ms. Enanoria will give us more context of our request by describing the area community and HASEKO's outreach and participation in that community. If we may, Chair, we would like to call Daniel Lum as our first witness.
Please proceed. Mr. Wong, could I swear you in? Wong, state your name and your affiliation.
Morning, Commissioner. My name is Daniel Lum. I'm with HASEKO Development. I'm a project manager at HASEKO.
Mr. Lum, I might have misspoken your name at first, but it's Lum, L-U-M.
LUM.
Do you swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth?
Yes.
Please proceed.
Okay. So Ho'akalei Ocean Point is a 1,100-acre project located on Oahu and Ewa Beach. It's situated between Fort Weaver and Ka'aleloa. Our project is a master plan community consisting of 4,800 residential home, light industrial, commercial, resort, and a planned outdoor recreational facility. Since construction in 1998, we have completed roughly about 4,000 homes. We're about 80% complete with our project. And for job credits, we have three methods in our 1990 DNO to complete the job credits. There's condition 1A, which is what Curtis has mentioned, is the facility construction job credit. This is based on the number of hours our project can create jobs to help with, for every job we have man hours, there are 25 man years to equal one job credit. And then our second option to satisfy this credit is to provide jobs from building facilities where jobs are created. And this job credit is determined from the floor space multiplied by a multiplier factor. As for our training job credit, this is based on either investment or contribution to job creating startup programs or nonprofits to help encourage job training. And this is based on either 50,000 to 25,000 in contribution to equal one job credit.
Thank you, Daniel. And how many job credits are we requesting?
In total, we are requesting for 572.75. Under condition 1A, we have since 1990 provided 378.45 reported 378.45 job credits. However, because of condition 1A, there is a limitation that only 25% of the job credit can be counted towards this condition. Therefore, in total, we are requesting for 236.13 job credits under condition 1A for construction job credit. As for condition 1B, facility job credits, we are requesting for 229.06 job credits, which consists of facilities that we provided that contributes to jobs, including Seagull Schools, Ewa Point Marketplace, Ho'akalei Country Club, and the golf course. As for condition 1C, we are requesting for 136.76 job credits. This is for the job training. We have a minimum of 10% of our job credits to be satisfied under this condition.
So do you have the total of those three components?
In total, it is 572.75.
Let me just take a second to correct the record. In my opening remarks, I actually said $572. It's actually 572.75 credits. That's
Yes.
just a correction of the record on my part.
Thank
Mr. Tabata, you may proceed.
Thank you, Daniel. Mr. Lum is available for questioning.
City and County, do you have any questions for this witness?
We have no questions for this witness.
OPSD, any questions for this witness?
No questions, thank you.
Commissioners? Commissioner Cabral.
Thank you for the information. In review of this, and I'm into housing year, somewhere I've got, you said 4,850 houses are going to be built, of which 4,000 have been built already.
Correct, Commissioner.
Okay, so another 850, and that's why you're saying about 82% or so are completed. Of those homes, are those homes freestanding homes on lots, or are those condominiums and high rises, or are those homes potentially transient for vacation rentals? Are they potentially rentals in general? I mean, what is the status of those homes? What type of homes are those, if you can tell me?
The 4,000 homes that are completed are comprised of single family, detached, and attached multifamily homes.
Okay.
2 stories.
Long-term residents are residing in those homes?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I thank you for that, because clearly the community needs homes. Thank you. Okay.
Sure, I got a question.
Commissioner Galloway.
You know, I'm kind of new in this, so.
Use the microphone, please.
Yeah, it's on. Apparently it's not working, maybe. You know,
Just need to put it close.
how do you make a determination as far as one construction job credit is awarded for every 25 years of labor? You know? Yeah.
Did you hear the question? Did you hear the question?
Did you hear the question?
Sorry, could you please repeat the question again?
Yeah, I'm kind of new at this. So how do you come up with a determination and decide whether one job credit is based on 25 man years of labor?
So on an annual basis, we'll review our accounting reports, vendor reports, to determine, which vendors we're paying out, and we'll sum up the total costs per hour of these vendors, including architects, laborers, attorneys, engineers, and we'll sum up into a massive exhibit that's submitted annually to LUC, where we determine how many man hours that we expended per year, and that's how we report it.
Excuse me, Commissioner, if I may, Curtis
no, go ahead.
Tabata, for the petitioner, if I understand your question, the 25 years equaling one job credit is provided in condition number 1.
Yes.
So the commission has established that as the standard for determining one job credit, and the 25 years is calculated by the 1,900 man hours equals 1 year. So they tally up all their construction hours, they divide it by 1,920, and that gives us our total man years, person years.
So it's not based on just one job. It's based on amount of work that's provided that totals up to 19, 20 hours a year.
That's correct. There's various, it's construction projects built by HASEKO or on the petition area or outside, all the different projects. So we tally up all the hours, construction hours, and all those hours are added up together. And when divided by 1,920, it gives us a total man years. And it takes 25 man years to make one job credit. And the 1,920 and the 25 are just, it's a standard established by the Land Use Commission.
Yeah, and what, like I said earlier, I'm kind of new to this. So 1,920 hours times 25 years. Is that what you're saying? Equals one credit.
No, it's total man hours
Yeah.
divided by 1,920. And that gives us a total number of man years. That gives us the man years total based upon the hours worked. And it takes 25 years to make one job credit. So we have to divide the total man years by 25 to give us the number of job credits that we have earned.
Thank you. I wasn't sure. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Chang.
thank you. This is Commissioner Chang. So, Mr. Tabata, I would tell you, this was like flew right over my head, but my understanding is that this methodology was established in the decision and order, the methodology to calculate the credits. Is that correct?
That is my understanding, yes.
Yeah, because I too, I was like, you can be old and you can be new. I was still confused, but it wasn't a formula that HASEKO created. It was pre-established in the order how you would calculate to determine the credits. Is that correct?
Yes, Commissioner, that's correct.
Okay. And all you're doing now is applying the numbers based upon the formula previously established.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. I just wanted that confirmation because I was like Commissioner Kahel, like, what? It was just too many numbers. But this isn't something that you made up. Because I wanted to ensure that the formula or the methodology was not biased towards HASEKO, but that it had been, this formula and methodology had been previously established, and all you're doing is applying the formula to the facts based upon what you've done to date.
Yes, Commissioner, that is correct.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
I have a question.
Just to clarify the numbers, I'm going to give everybody an example. And Mr. Tabata, you tell me if this example is correct. So if hypothetically you did your accounting and there were 19,200 hours of work, that would translate into 10 man years worth of work.
19,000 or
Yeah. If you added it all up and you had 19,200,
that
that would translate to 10 man years worth of work.
That sounds correct.
And the 10 man years worth of work would translate into 0.4 job credits.
That sounds correct.
That's correct, right?
Yes.
Okay. Commissioner Ohigashi.
Mike, I'm looking on page 70 of the DNO, and it talks about at the time the petitioner gets a building permit, you can satisfy this condition, I guess, forward by placing a $25,000 deposit for each, multiplied by the number of units that you applied for. Was this ever done, that part?
No, we have been reporting our job credits, and our plan was to satisfy the job credits requirement by earning and seeking approval for job credits versus the deposit of $25,000.
And this would only apply to a hotel or condominium, the one that you plan to build for. So I'm gonna assume one job credit is equivalent to one unit? Is that what I'm assuming?
Yes, it's equal to one hotel unit.
So absent these job credits, you would have to put up $25,000 per unit
That is
in
what is,
order to be built. And then as it's being built, or as you prove job credits were applying, you would get it reimbursed by OSP. That's what I look at it.
that is what is provided in the condition number 1, yes.
And so rather than that, you waited till now to build a hotel, so you have the job credits to satisfy that. Is that?
Yes.
Okay,
we've,
so that, I just was trying to understand this whole motion. Yeah. Now
That
that I
is-
understand it.
That is correct. Timing wise, that's how it has worked out. So yes, we're at this point, we're accumulating our job credits and the next step would then be to hopefully.
I need to swear this witness in.
I'm Raymond
State-
Khanna.
State your name.
I'm Raymond Khanna, Executive Vice President of HASEKO EVA.
Mr. Khan, do you swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth?
Yes, I do.
Please proceed.
I just want to clarify is, we did not hold off on building the hotels until we got the job credits. It's the other way around. We knew that the hotel development, okay, was going to be at the tail end of the project. Just from physical location, if you look at our map, okay, we were slowly moving from east to west on the property, making sure we completed all our infrastructure and the housing. And eventually we would end up at formerly the marina, now the lagoon. And at that point, that because the hotels were meant to be a supplemental to support both the retail and the marina / lagoon at this point. So it was just the logical conclusion that it would be at the end of the project. Because it makes more sense, because obviously we need to populate the project in order to make all this successful. So I just want to make sure you understand, the job credits were simply the byproduct of the normal plan that we had. Thank you.
Commissioners, any further questions on
No.
testimony so far?
Here, I got another question.
What? Go ahead, Commissioner Kaylee.
You know, I'm not sure if I'm looking at the right map, but I'm looking at a map here. It's the hotel's gonna be built alongside the golf course. Is that the right map I'm looking at?
Yes,
Oh. So currently the golf course, is it a private course or is it a public course?
it's a private country club.
It's a private course. Is this still owned by HASEKO or?
No, I believe in 2019, we have sold the golf course to Hoakle Country Club Godo Kashai.
Is that new company required to comply with whatever they need to be required to meet to receive any of these credits?
I'm sorry,
As far as providing jobs, the job credit.
do they have any, can you repeat your question?
Are they still under the conditions that we provided HASEKO as far as being able to receive any of the credits by hiring jobs that they're required to hire under these 19, 20 hours per year?
If I may,
25 years?
Commissioner.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Right. HASEKO EVA Inc. is seeking these job credits in order to build hotel units. The golf course's relationship to this motion is that we've earned job credits based on the actual jobs created at the golf course. So we're asking for 30 job credits, facility job credits based on the golf course. Plus, there's job credits associated with the clubhouse at the golf course. So we are claiming credits based on the golf course, but the golf course, that entity that owns the golf course is not, they're not the ones earning the credits to build hotels. We're the hotel builder.
All right, thank you.
Commissioner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is Gary Okuda. Mr. Tabata, anyone can answer this question, including you. Let me frame my question. My question is to determine whether or not the burden of proof and burden of moving forward has been met and whether or not the evidence being presented is sufficient to meet that burden. Okay. Your request or motion has asked for approval of certain or a number of job credits, correct?
Yes,
And the job credits being requested are basically being totaled from other documents that have been presented as part of your motion, correct?
correct.
And for example, the documents, and it's in our website, identified as various exhibits. I think it was part of Exhibit 4, and it's broken down in the website because of the length of Exhibit 4, different parts of Exhibit 4, correct?
Yes,
And some of these exhibits include the annual reports, which include like spreadsheets, correct?
yes,
Okay, and these spreadsheets would have a list of where the job credits are being attributed to and the number of job credits, correct?
yes.
Okay, let me ask you this. Who prepared these summary spreadsheets which were attached to the annual reports?
It was the employees of HASEKO.
Can you identify who the specific employees were who prepared these summaries?
That would be a question for our witness.
The summaries has been prepared by Derby Linden, who is a former HASEKO employee. She has recently retired in 2020. And since then, I have taken over her position in compiling these reports.
Okay, my question is designed to obtain evidence or determine whether or not these summaries were prepared, in the normal course of business. Can you explain to us what was the process or procedure which was normally done to prepare, for example, the summaries that attribute certain number of job credits to, for example, like the attorneys Fong, Miho, and things like that? I mean, as an example, what would be the process that would be used to prepare this chart?
Okay, Commissioner, so on an annual basis, we'll request from our accounting a vendor report. This vendor report then breaks apart all of our payments to the various vendors, and it will sort the payment by vendor. From the vendor report, we would manually go through determining which vendors qualify for this job credit. Such vendors would include attorneys, engineers, architects, our construction laborers, and then we'll pull those invoices and determine, how many hours are attributable per invoice. So for the attorneys, we can see clearly how much hours are spent, and that's how it's inputted in. And then depending on if it's a laborer, contractor, we'll use a market hourly rate to determine how much of this invoice is their labor hours, and we'll deduct maybe a portion of the invoice, assuming it's supplies or materials. So that way we can kind of deduct roughly how much hours of this invoice is attributable to actual labor.
Okay, and maybe Mr. Tabata can answer this question if he would like. Do you believe that because these credits trigger, a important result, which is the ability to build a hotel or these additional developments, that the Land Use Commission, before it makes a decision, should have that basic evidence in front of us so we can form a conclusion that the summaries that are being presented here are accurate or not accurate? Is that something that we are duty bound to inquire into to make sure that these summaries are accurate?
Yes, that is part of your duties.
Okay, how do we determine whether or not these summaries are accurate if the underlying documents aren't presented. And maybe it's unreasonable to say that we should have, tens of thousands of pages presented to us. But is there anything in the record that even shows an example of how any of these entries would be prepared? In other words, examples of what the underlying invoices look like, the worksheets that were used by HASEKO to prepare these summaries. In other words, something that we could make a finding that the summaries accurately reflect the underlying facts. Is there anything in the record that you can point to which can give us that type of evidence that the summary is accurate?
Yes, what was provided to the commission is the parts of the annual reports that we've been submitting over the past 30 years. And there are included in those annual reports receipts or checks that were made for contributions. There was descriptions of the facilities that were built. And there were reports of hours worked for various projects. Now, we didn't submit all the contract documents for every single project and for every single invoice that was just submitted by a contractor or a consultant. That was not done. But we did provide, I believe under oath, information throughout the 30 years in our annual reports, detailing the number of hours we were reporting, and worksheets identifying the hours and the persons and the projects. Okay, we did not submit every single invoice that we received. That would have been my belief is that would have been too burdensome on the commission to submit to the commission tens of thousands of pages of documents along with our annual report. I believe it was reasonable for us to submit a tabulation identifying the people and the companies and the hours worked on which projects. Those were all identified. And that was our good faith effort to provide proof to this commission of the hours that we worked and the source of those hours. And that's what we did.
Yeah, well, for example, I look at Exhibit A to your October 3rd, 2007 annual report. Is it your testimony that the information contained in Exhibit A, which is just a summary of credits being requested, that in fact, that annual report contained the type of information that you just described?
Whether or not that particular page contains that information, I cannot say right now, but I do know that there were summaries. There were tabulations showing who the name of the person working, the project they worked on, and the number of hours they worked. And it was those hours that were then accumulated to determine and calculate our job credit request for construction job credits. These were all made in a normal course of business throughout the years, throughout the decades, to provide the commission with what we hope to be adequate proof of those hours and job credits being requested.
Was there a clear statement made in any of these annual reports that the reports were prepared based on normal business practices, or that the summaries actually reflect underlying documentation in the manner that you've described?
I believe all of our representations to the commissions are made under oath, Commissioner. Every one of them. I mean, we have an obligation to make representations to this commission, and we're held by condition to live up to those representations. So yes, we're to the best of our ability, we are providing accurate information.
Okay, on page 69 of the DNO, this is in subparagraph D. There's a requirement which says, and I quote, petitioner shall provide OSP with information concerning the manner in which petitioner's claim for job credits is calculated, as well as written certification by the developer that all information provided is correct. Was such written certification provided by the developer that all information provided is correct? Was that provided each time when the required documents or reports were submitted to the Office of Planning?
Yes, for every annual report we file, they contain our representations, and our representations are all, like I said, they are under oath. We are bound by our representations, and we take them very seriously.
Yeah, can you just, and I probably overlooked it, can you just point to an exhibit and maybe read the certification that was given to Office of State Planning?
It's an implied certification.
I'm sorry?
It's an implied certification. We don't have a statements in our annual report certifying that everything is accurate and true. It's implied. Everything we say, we're held to.
Okay, but.
And that was the intent, and that was what was done.
Okay, but the condition requires a written certification. It doesn't say anything about implied certification that the information is correct.
That written certification was made within the annual reports. The fact that it was made in writing is our written certification.
Oh, okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. I have no further questions.
Commissioner Cabral.
Yeah, thank you. I have several questions. So it's my understanding that you annually make reports. I know you have to make annual reports to the Land Use Commission. Do those annual reports also go to the Office of Planning, which is now the Office of Planning and Sustainability?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask if I can I ask a question of our Land Use Commission staff? Okay, when you get these annual reports, you have the ability to review them, question them, and if you were to feel that there was something inappropriate, you could ask for more information or more details. Is that within your rights as a Land Use Commission staff?
Yes, it is, Commissioner.
Okay, well, because I'm in private business and I have to deal with state regulations a lot, and I find it, you know, if for 30 years you've been sending information out and everybody said, okay, I'm going to stand here and I'm going to accept that 2 different state agencies have accepted this, haven't questioned it, and are sitting here. And I understand Office of Planning and Sustainability is not in objecting to it and stuff. So I think that I'm going to take on face value the fact that your reports were acceptable at that time and not question whether you should have done more, could have done more, could have buried us with paperwork, filled the room here with documents. So, okay, thank you very much for the information. I have my clarification. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Cabral. Commissioners, any further? Commissioner Chang.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Tabata, I don't question the genuineness of your representation. And I'm not interested in going through 10,000 pages of files. If there was an audit to confirm the accuracy of the representations, the underlying documentation, a lot of what Commissioner Okuda talked about, I am assuming you would not have any objection if there was an audit that was done.
No objection.
Commissioner Yamani.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just had a question regarding the 25% requirement of the petitioner's total job generation requirement. I think this relates to the construction credit requirement that was reduced to a maximum of 237, which you presented 236. And then I was looking at Exhibit 4, where it was 25% of 950. I think that was the number. Where did the 950 come from?
The 950 is our maximum number of hotel units that we are allowed to build. And that was established by the city in its unilateral agreement.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for the clarification. No further questions. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Commissioners? Mr. Tabata, do you want to continue?
Thank you, Chair. Our next witness is Lisa Ananoria.
Commissioners.
When you arrive, please state your name and job affiliation, and then I'll swear you in.
Hi, my name is Lisa Inanoria. I'm a senior project manager for HASEKO.
Ms. Moria, do you swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth?
Yes, I do.
Mr. Tabata, you and your witness may proceed.
Thank you, Chair. Lisa, could you please state your position at HASEKO?
So I'm a senior project manager with HASEKO.
And what are your job duties?
Okay, so I actually do a few different things. I do the community outreach for the company, along with public relations, government relations. I also represent the company at a lot of the various neighborhood boards. Also sit on a few nonprofit organization boards for the company. I'm on Huakle Culture Foundation's board also, which is a organization that we help form for Tukupuna in the area. I think that's it.
And could you describe for us describe for us the community outreach that HASEKO has done for this project?
So we have actually done extensive community outreach. We've always believed that we are a part of the community. I live in Eva. So we've always tried to be a good neighbor also. We sit on some of the school SCC boards, Boys and Girls Clubhouse Board, the Weed and Seed Steering Committee. We also have held many community meetings, as some of the other homeowners have stated. We've done regular coffee hours. That has actually slowed down because of COVID, not good together. So our last coffee hour was a virtual one, which was in 2020. But I do attend the neighborhood boards regularly, and anytime there is a question, they know where I'm sitting. And I've always told them when I have new information is when I'll actually give a report. So whenever we have some exciting information, I stand up to let them know.
Thank you, Lisa. Ms. Inanoya is available for questions.
Thank you. Sydney County, any questions?
No questions.
OPSD, any questions?
No questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioners, questions for this witness? Mr. Cabral.
I'm really hot today. Yes, in your visits throughout the community, can you let us know now what's coming up? You've done housing, you've done the golf course, you've done a lot of commercial properties, you've done a lot of things. So now this is the first time you're entering into building a hotel on any of this initial 1,000+ acres.
Yeah, so the last area of the project is everything that's around the lagoon, right?
Okay.
Because now we're moving more towards the west side. So we have the waterfront recreation, and then our residents have been waiting a long time for the resort to come. And they keep asking me, when is it coming? And I don't have a date for them, but I would like to have a date for them so I can announce it at a coffee hour or at neighborhood board. So
Okay, time for a new coffee hour.
yeah.
So there was a reference earlier from one of the community people that made statements that apparently there are some people that object. Can you let us know? They're not here, so I'm not going to give them a lot of weight, but is there been just moderate objection, strong objection? What is your feeling about the situation?
The majority of the community has been supportive of the project. They're asking us when are the jobs coming? Of course, there's always a handful that have misinformation, and that's the whole point of our community outreach, is try to get to them and get that information corrected and try to sit down with them. So I've always been available to anybody out there. If they have any questions, I'll sit down, take them out to coffee and go over a lot of their issues or concerns. But of course, there are always a handful of people that I can't I can't make happy no matter what. But I want to say the majority of the area is in support.
Okay, and in terms of back to job creation, is the reference was people are looking forward to the construction jobs, which of course will be so long and then they'll end. Are people also looking forward to visitor supported industry jobs such as waitress and hotel, staff and groundskeepers and all of that? I mean, is it because again, I think the reference was you can go to work right there in Eva instead of driving into Waikiki for an hour to go to the same job. Is that what the
So-
community's feeling?
Correct. So I know in a recent meeting with one of our area lawmakers, he had some of the older Eva Beach neighbors, residents that have been there for a while, and they explained to me why they supported the project. And one of the reasons that they supported the resort was because there's a lot of people that live in Eva and Eva Beach that actually commute on the bus or drive, as you know, from even Kapolei, it is a very far drive. So having the resort jobs here where they don't have to commute is actually a benefit to the residents.
Okay, great. Thank you very much for the information.
Commissioners. Mr. Tabata.
Thank you, Chair. That's it for our witnesses. So we're done.
I just had one question. Can you, well, any of your witnesses can answer, but regarding the infrastructure and support of the overall project and of the expansion into the resort areas, can you give this commission a sense of how much of that is completed and how much is yet to do?
I think Raymond Kana can answer that question.
Hi, again, Ray. HASEKO. First of all, you have to understand this is something that has occurred over a period of 31 years. I started with this project in 1991. One of the first things we tackled was the Everplains Water Development Corporation, which allowed the full build out of wells and water facilities for the entire build out of the project. That is fully complete. Okay. We jointly with other developers invested over $30 million into that thing to make sure it was fully completed. Secondly, we went ahead and since the city and county had problems with the wastewater system, HASEKO stepped up and we enhanced the existing wastewater treatment plant adjacent to our property.
1 second, we have a little interference here. Okay, back up just half a step and continue.
Again, we went ahead and we enhanced and basically rebuilt the sewage treatment plant adjacent to us to basically accommodate again the full build out of the project. Our master transportation plan basically accommodated the full build out of both the retail, the resort, the housing, and all of our streets and roadways are sized based on the full build out. Okay. So water, sewer, transportation, electrical, we work hand in hand with Hawaiian Electric to make sure that we have sufficient power to accommodate the full build out of the project. And finally, we have a master drainage plan that fully accommodates not only our project, but the entire Everplains, because we are the terminus of the drainage system that goes from the mountains to the ocean. We work closely with the city and county, and we have designed every facility, and they are all fully built, okay, to accommodate the full 100-year storm of the entire Everplains. The only thing we are waiting for is that we are still in a contested case issue to resolve that drainage. And until then, certain berms are still in place to prevent the full drainage that goes from the Mauka to the Makai to the ocean. So the answer to your question is we are 100% complete with all of our infrastructure requirements. Okay. Matter of fact, that's one of the things we really focused on. The only thing that has to be done at this point, okay, obviously are additional traffic lights, okay, which can only be done after it meets certain warrant studies with the city, okay. And obviously there are other plans that we are not part of, but there obviously people have talked about the extension of Keoniula Boulevard going into Kailailoa. And these are all connection issues that we are dealing with at this point. And it's probably going to be dealt with the next generation after I'm probably gone and buried.
I'll be gone as well.
Yeah.
So can you comment, or Mr. Tabata, or whatever witness, just a brief description of the hotel that's going to be built?
We haven't gone that far yet. We first wanted to hopefully get the approval of these job credits, and then be able to then go out and seek partners.
So basically 1 unit allowed for every job credit. So does that mean you're going to build a hotel with 572 units?
0.75.
That we don't, that we haven't got that far yet. We don't know. I mean, there's 950 total units that we can build. And you know, if we get approval for this motion, there may be a future request for job credits.
Again, responding to that one, the number of hotels and how we allocate the 950 rooms is totally subject to the marketplace. Okay. Obviously, the hospitality business has been transforming over the past years. Okay. Before, everything was a big luxury 5-star hotel. Then it shifted over to the more of the self-service, the Hyatt places and so the industry is changing now. Okay. We have a bevy of hotel developers that have come to look at our project and have tried to implement it into their vision of what they want. Okay. So we cannot predict today as to what it is, but I'm encouraged by things like our golf course has just hosted the latte tournament. So it's given us international exposure. Okay. We're moving forward on this wave structure and lagoon, which also will give us some national and possibly international exposure. So it will bring other hotel developers into play, and they will impose their vision on what they would like to do. And HASEKO does not profess to be a hotel developer. Okay. We are simply preparing the ground for all this to occur. But the one thing we are focused on is, you know, we're not as focused on the resort because, I mean, in the sense is it's going to be a third party that actually does the resort. But we are focused on creating the retail backbone, okay, which will give, as Lisa mentioned, the opportunity for local entrepreneurs to be able to insert themselves and to make money off of the resort. Okay. Obviously, most of the local people can't afford to buy or build a resort. That's not the point. But it becomes a symbiotic relationship because once the resort is there, who's going to provide, you know, the surf lessons or, you know, provide the supplies and materials, or there are going to be a lot of, you know, opportunities for local entrepreneurs to be able to provide services, okay, to these places. Okay. And, you know, our focus is the lagoon, okay, and the ocean, which is nearby. All these things, you know, and the nature of the resort businesses, it's focused on trying to fit into the local environment. So that's the nature of where tourism is going to go. It isn't going to be the Waikikis like we've seen before. It has to be tourists who are interested in assimilating into the local environment and enjoying the things as locals do. So we need to focus as much as possible trying to create a tourism model that focuses on the local industry and our culture. And that's what we're trying to focus on right now, okay, is to making sure that whoever does come in, okay, works with our cultural foundation, works with our kapunas to create something that is sensitive to the current environment that we have. Because, you know, one of the things were very clear to me is Hawaii is uncomfortable with the glitz of just regular tourism. We have to come up with a different model that works. And we're small enough where we can do that because we're only 950 hotel rooms. We're not like thousands of rooms like Waikiki. We can go into that niche market and give them the opportunity to do something very creative. Okay. And I'm the first to admit, one of the things that Eva has a problem with is Eva has never really had a connection to tourism. Okay, it's been a local community. So we need as much as possible to try to fit in to that local community. We can't be a Waikiki. We have to be something else. Thank you.
So, can you predict or speculate the benefit of our public witnesses and others who live in Eva and been waiting many years for this aspect of your project to come to fruition, when the hotel might be open?
Obviously, I can't predict what the marketplace is going to say, but it is our goal, our best wishes is that we can have a hotel in place in maybe 5 to 6 years. And that's just my personal speculation. Because if you look at the time frame, okay, you know, I figure they're going to be going out to market to talk to a lot of hotel developers soon. Okay, it's going to be a 1.5 to 2 years to design.
5 to 6 years is all I was looking for. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Commissioners, any additional questions?
No.
Oh, Commissioner Chang,
Oh, okay, thank you.
take your time.
Thank you. This is Commissioner Chang. Mr. Khanna, I greatly appreciate your comments. I think you, a lot of the things you said, I think reflects sort of this changing environment of visitor industry. And I appreciated the sensitivity in particular to the Eva community, rather than trying to put something outside. How do we enhance what's already there? And I appreciated also your comment about the foundation, because you have a very active community out in Eva, Uncle Shad, a lot of who bring great wealth. So I am hoping that your vision and the words that you've spoken and representations you've made to us today are reflected in the ultimate product of the hotel. And not too often, I mean, I've sat on the commission, I think this is my 7th closing out to 8 years. We usually have developers who come in and try to do the revenue. It's like the hotels first, and then we come back and we have to worry about infrastructure. So it is very reassuring to see that you have fully built out the infrastructure first, and you responded to the community needs there. So mine's is more of a comment than it is any kind of a question. But I am curious, right now your credit is for 572, but you have capacity up to 950. Will you be looking at, is that gap of 400, will you wait for additional credits, or will you look at designing something up to your maximum and potentially paying cash for the balance?
At this point, we're entering into my personal opinion, and has little to do with HASEKO. I would prefer we not build 950 rooms, because I think the mass is inappropriate for our community. I would rather see multiple properties instead that allow it to be less mass and more focused on a boutique environment. That is my personal preference. Now, obviously, it's all about money. Okay, and if the money justifies paying the 25,000 for the remaining credits, that will happen. Okay, or if our retail facility gets built, we can generate possibly a great deal of those credits by that physical structure. But it's a question of what comes first. And you know, I've worked in this business now for over 40 years, and I've seen the problem that mass can create. Okay, it's just it really is difficult for Hawaii to absorb that, because it's just, you know, it's a good example is you look at Waikoloa. I mean, that huge monster, and I know I was part of the team. I never could figure out how that really fits in with what we were trying to create, because it now becomes a Disneyland. Okay? And I don't think Disneyland fits in Eva. Okay? But I hope that the people who follow me will have the same sensitivity and try to focus on trying to create the right size for all this stuff.
I hope so too, because I don't think it's all about money. I don't think the community will tolerate just to be about money. It is about enhancing the qualities of Eva. I hope you bring back Ogo. I think a lot of us miss the Limu gathering that was Eva was well known for, and just climate change. I mean, at the time that this approval was made, climate change was not an issue. Building too close to the ocean may not be the best thing. So I am certain your team is taking into considerations the changing both economic environment, ecological environment, and cultural environment as you plan forward. But I like your vision. I appreciate your candor with us. So I hope you're passing that on. Thank you.
One thing I do want to point out to you is one of the big steps we made is, okay, if you look at from the edge of the Makai edge of our lagoon to the ocean, okay, we took that out completely and made it into preservation so that it was an open area rather and with a small strip of business on it to make sure that the access to the ocean was open. Previously, it was supposed to be parking lots, and we axed that because it was inappropriate. Okay, so we created an opportunity where there's it's more now paths, jogging paths, okay, bicycle paths, okay, but we face challenges on that one too, because by leaving it open like that, how do we maintain it and keep it clean? Okay. We're in the process right now with the Department of Land and Natural Resources to restrict vehicular access along the beach, which is not allowed. But we want to put in walls or something to prevent people from desecrating that area. I'd like to point out to you is that when we clean that area up, okay, I forgot. Lisa, how many tons of garbage did we remove along Shirley? It's like 30 tons of garbage. I'm appalled by the fact that we actually don't, treat our INA properly. And if we have to do it in a way to prevent people from doing it, we'll do so. But, like I said, I've been working with Department of Land and Natural Resources for 5 years to get that permitted. So, it's an uphill battle sometimes because they're concerned about any structures on the beach. So, there are many, many problems that we face when we try to do this, but it is difficult. It's not that easy. Okay. And you're right. One of the biggest problem I face is I got to deal with a board of directors that says, you got to get a return on your money. Well, I'm less concerned about the money because I'm from here. I'm here to try to do a good job. Okay. But I also have to satisfy our board, which means I got to watch how we spend the money and how we try to generate it. But you can tweak it to try to make it as positive as we possibly can. And I think that's what we've been trying. And that's what I've been passing on to my next generation of managers they have to be smart. Okay. But at the same time, sensitive because, it comes back to bite you. I've worked for bad developers, as I said, and I know where it comes back to bite you because it affects, the reputation and affects how the community will accept you in the long term. Okay. Now, Lisa and her predecessor have done a great job of connecting with the community, okay? And I think we need to continue to do that because if you have community support, you can overcome anything. Because, a lot of times the activists come from the outside who don't understand the community, okay? And there's nothing quite like having your local kapuna support you, okay? To have your local people support you.
Okay, let's hello.
Yes, mahalo, Chair, for the opportunity to question Mr. Kana or anybody for that fact. I really just have an infrastructural question. With your statement being sensitive to the current environment we have, what is the daily sustainable draw from your wells? And what is the daily usage with the inclusion of the 4,000 homes, the newly built out of the water pool and lagoon, and possibly in the next 5 to 6 years, this resort?
I can't answer that question for you right now, but when we originally designed the wells, the Mauka wells there's a series or bank of wells that the Everplains Water Development Corporation built. Part of it, we presented a report to the Board of Water Supply on the full build out of each of our projects. So we built based on that one. Plus, we also gave the board a surplus reserve for other projects who were not part of the group that was basically doing that. So I can go back and find that for you, but the bottom line comes down to is it was designed based on our full draw. Now, in discussions with the Board of Water Supply, one of the things is we based our water demand based on, you know, a higher number actually than what is currently in place. When we're talking about this thing was built back in, you know, we started designing this in 1986. Okay. Since that time, okay, what's happened is the board has mandated using water saving type of devices, which actually has reduced the demand for each individual household. My last discussion with the board is that they're willing to, right now, for a single family home, the reserve is 500 gallons per day. Now they're willing to consider 450 or 400, simply because the actual data has proven that the use of water has come down due to the fact of these various facilities. So in a sense, we should have far surplus water availability based on that. But bear in mind, this was done by 5 major developers. Other people, homesteaders, whoever, they draw from that system also, but they basically piggyback on the fact that we build surplus capacity for them. So,
okay, mahalo for your answer, and I have a following question, a follow-up question. So you said that this plan was being created in 1986, correct?
Roughly around there.
Roughly around 1986, so that's about 35, 36 years ago. Currently, you know, we are charged with looking at projects with sea level rise and climate change in mind. So I guess my next question to you, Mr. Khanna, is at what elevation above the sea level, are these wells when you describe Mauka wells?
I cannot tell you off the top of my head, but they're at the minimum level. Most of the water tanks are at the 450 to the 680 level. So they're way in the mountain. It's above the freeway. Okay, so, and probably the more important question is, as sea level rise, how is it going to infiltrate into the transmission lines that come further?
That was going to be my next question, though.
Okay, and that's something I can't do anything about. Okay, because you know most of the transmission lines are located in major roadways, which are, to my knowledge, at this point, located at least at 20 plus above sea level. So they should be okay. Okay. And I think, you know, I'm sure a lot of smarter people than me will figure out a way to solve that problem.
Yeah. That's all the questioning I have right now. Mahalo, Chair.
Thank you. Commissioners? Mr. Botts, anything further?
No, Chair, I think we are done. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to power through, assuming that City County, do you have about how much time do you need?
About a minute or two, Chair.
OPSD, how much time you need?
Short, few minutes.
We're going to power through. So
All right.
City and County, would you like to
Just
present?
real quick, we just want to reiterate what we said in our November 29, 2022 submission, that we support the approval of 572.75 job credits for the reports based upon 1991 through 2020. The only thing that the city wants to ensure, and this is more to ensure that there's not a question later, is that this is, in whatever order comes out of this, that this is the limit for that time period. So they can't revise and say, we want an extra 20, we looked another further, we found an extra 30 here, just to resolve any ambiguity. So there's not a potential that we're back here again in a year for another 10 credits or whatever for that time period. And if that's not If there's a strong objection to that, the city's not going to fight this point too hard. But then we do want noted in the order that revisions may happen. Mainly just want to make sure that whatever order comes out of this is not ambiguous, that it's clear, and there's not questions about it later. And that's all we have. Thank you.
Thank you, commissioners.
I got a question, Chair.
Commissioner Kahale.
Thank you. If you convert the amount of credits based on the amount of units, are we looking at maybe $14-15 million
Are you $14-15 million for what?
for $25,000 per credit?
Yes.
We're looking at what, 500 plus credits?
Yeah, you're saying 572 times
Yes,
25,000?
yes.
I mean, I could calculate that if you'd like.
No, I'm just kind of like,
Well, it's
15
5
million.
and 7, yeah, it's about 13 million,
Oh, is
I
that
guess.
13?
Yeah,
Okay.
13, it would be a $13 million deposit instead of these credits.
In the alternative.
In the alternative.
That's
Yeah.
about there. Okay, very good. Thank you.
I just have a question on your clarification that you're looking for. Are you saying that for the credits that they have on the record now, you want to basically freeze it at that number? But that doesn't foreclose their ability to do more work
Of
and
course not,
generate
no.
more credits.
Of course not, no. And even if they submit reports for 2021, which has already happened, and they seek approval, that would be additional credits. I'm saying this time period from 1991 to 2020, which is the credits they're currently seeking approval. We're freezing that.
Understood. Thank you. Commissioners, any further questions for the city and county? Okay, we'll move to OPST. George, I'm sorry. I didn't see.
I haven't said much on this thing because I've been since I was a kid. I used to go to on Beach Park and just kind of hang around there. And on Marcus side was chicken farms and everything. There wasn't not much there, and it was a local place. And I've seen this Ever Beach area grow slowly, but there isn't a very fast growth. Just everything has been slowly, but the thing. And I think that HASEKO has come in and has been a good developer, I think, because they shift when they have an idea when they shift, if they like the lagoon and stuff like that, they change from a lagoon to a park, to a lagoon anyway. They shift from harbor to a lagoon, stuff like that. And so I noticed that HASEKO has shifted too with the and I think you folks will do a good job from here on. And I just I've watched it grow, and I think you've done what the community wants in the long run. So I think it's a good idea. And so I will trust that you folks will continue to do that thing. I just want to say that before. Okay.
Okay, thank you. OPST.
Allison Cato, attorney for OPSD. OPSD supports approval of the petitioner's motion for approval of job credits. We find that petitioner's calculations are conservative, well documented, and comply with all of the requirements and restrictions in the commission's DNO. And when I say conservative, it appears that petitioner's calculations are lower than what they potentially could have requested approval for. If the current motion is approved, petitioner will have a total of 575.22 approved job credits, which are the credits being requested today, plus a few credits that were previously approved. As mentioned earlier, by others, petitioner may eventually build up to 950 units. So in the future, petitioner may come back to the commission for approval of an additional 374.78 job credits. OPSD appreciates petitioner's efforts to complete the project while taking care to comply with the LUC's requirements and also keeping the community well informed. And we also appreciate the thoroughness of the submitted motions and exhibits, and we are satisfied with petitioner's representations on the accuracy of the reports. That's all. I'm available for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioners, questions for OPSD? Commissioner Higashi.
Does the state agree with the city and county's proposition that we freeze, if we do decide to give this credits, we freeze the amount as for that period of time, and that no additional credits for this period of time would be sought or approved?
Yes, state agrees.
Thank you, brother. Commissioner Kamakelo, hello. No, I called on you.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, Gary. I thought you were waving your hand.
Yeah, Gary Okuda. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Question for the Office of State Planning Sustainable Development. Was in fact a written certification provided by the applicant or the petitioner with each of their annual reports, as such written certification is spelled out in the plain language in the DNO, which I quoted earlier? Was that provided?
I'm not sure that anything exactly specifically saying that informally, like we certify these things, that maybe is what you're searching for, but we accept petitioner's reasoning that what they've submitted and the representations that it's accurate. We accept that as certification.
What evidence does the Office of State Planning have that the summaries that were submitted to the Office of State Planning, in fact, accurately summarize the underlying facts for which the summary purports to summarize?
I believe we're relying on the petitioner's representations that they've made to the Use Commission. I understand that if you want all of the underlying documents and things, that would be too unwieldy and difficult for us to really go through.
Well, my only question is, what, if anything, has the State Office of Planning done to verify that the representations were correct or accurate?
The Office of Planning and State, well, at the time, Office of Planning was relying on the various documents and things that the petitioner has submitted with their annual reports. So it's not just a summary, it's also copies of checks and other documents that they've submitted.
But for example, the summary that I pointed out just has summaries of credits attributable to certain vendors such as lawyers, things like that. What, if anything, or can you point to anything in the record which indicates the Office of Planning has done anything to verify that what's stated in the summary is accurate? Specifically, the example I was giving. If there's nothing, then there's nothing.
I'm not sure exactly. I haven't looked at that example that you've pointed out. But I believe I'm not sure what has been done in the past that the Office of State Planning has done, but I believe they're generally relying on what the petitioner has provided rather than going outside of that.
Okay. Thank you. I have no further questions.
Thank you, Commissioner Okuda. Anything further? Commissioner Yamani.
Hi, thanks. Just for a question for the state and maybe if the county, just curious, but how many man hours was spent just checking the data and the math and the totals that were correct?
Oh, my client has said lots, but we don't keep track of that,
Estimate, I'm just curious, like,
especially.
was it like 1 hour, one person, or was like a couple weeks for a couple people? Just curious how much time and effort was spent just looking at the data. There's a lot of data after you're with other commissioners to go through and submitted by the petitioner. So I just curious.
Are you talking, just to clarify, are you talking about the current motion and documents? Or are you
Yes.
talking about, okay, sorry, I thought you were referring to all the annual reports from the past year.
No, just the current documents and to verify the 500 credits. So I like just.
Well, there were various meetings with the petitioner, and my client did spend a lot of time reviewing all of the documents, but she's not sure how to estimate that.
Okay, Kauti.
Ms. Wong, who's here with me, reviewed all the exhibits and she spent a few hours working on that. We also have Mr. Franz Kreins, who's here with us as well. He spent a few hours personally going through everything as well. And then I also spent a few hours looking through, adding things up again and making sure that it made sense to me.
Okay.
I used to do this kind of work for like other kind of cases where you're just adding hours up, but I've done it a lot in the past and I did it again.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
No further questions, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner. Anything further? Thank you, OPSC. Appreciate it. Petitioner, your opportunity for rebuttal.
Thank you, Chair. Real quick, just to reply to the request made by the county. Condition 1 does allow us to, it requires us, sorry, to report job credits within 2 years after they accrue. So given where we're at for year 2022, we may be asking or seeking or reporting job credits earned in 2019. So, creating a 2020 cutoff date could be problematic for us. What we do accept, however, is that it's our burden to prove if we come forward in the future to ask for more job credits to be approved, we will have the burden to show that we are not being duplicative and that it's separate and apart from any prior requests that we've made so that we can avoid any confusion.
Can I ask you to read for the record that an excerpt from that condition that you were just referred to from the DNO? I think that'll help clarify what the limitation is.
Thank you. It's beginning of condition 1D, which states in part, credits for jobs generated under subparagraphs A through C above shall not be eligible for satisfaction of this condition unless within 2 years after they accrue, they are reported to the LUC in petitioner's annual report.
Thank you. So city and county, would that condition, which I think is attempted to be addressed in the original DNO, would that satisfy your?
That satisfies the city. And again, I'm not trying to preclude petitioner from requesting whatever they want. I'm just trying to make sure that whatever order comes out of this is clear, that there's not a question later of what they can request. So if they want to, if we just reiterate this within 2 years in whatever order, city's happy with that.
Well, my sense is the DNO already is on record and is controlling in this effect. And at least in my mind, it might be sufficient. But it does address your concern.
Yes.
And looks like it was addressed 30 years ago. So or whenever that date was.
Thank you, Chair. We have nothing more.
Nothing more. So commissioners, any questions for the petitioner on his rebuttal?
I just have,
Commissioner Okigashi.
just to make it all clear then, the information you provided in this motion, as well as the various reports filed with the state, with our office, with the LEC office and OSP, you would certify that that information is true and correct. Is that right?
Yes,
Would the vice president enter into the record to make sure that that certification is on record?
I'll ask him.
Okay.
Well, I personally didn't compile it myself, but yes, I do believe that it was done in an appropriate manner.
Okay. And you've assured that that OSP, who has the duty of receiving that or accepting these reports under the DNO, that these reports were true and correct. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. I have no further questions.
Commissioner Cabral.
Okay, I have a question on the timeline. So you have submitted with this job credit request, everything through December 31, 2020? You're referring to 2020 as being your last year of submittal, or is it 2019?
The job credits we're asking for approval have been accrued or reported up to 2020.
Up to, so
Right.
January.
Now, it's possible we may have missed a project. We may not have reported it this year or last year, but we have 2 years to report it. To report the credit in our annual report.
Okay.
So
Actually, we have only one specific project that we have not included because we're still in the process of doing so.
Okay.
Okay, there was a health clinic that was done on our property. Okay, that was done by, the former president of First Hawaiian Bank, Don Horner. I believe it was finished in 2020. We are in the process of doing the paperwork with him to make sure we can get the job credits for that facility. So that's the only question mark in my mind as to whether it fits into that 2-year time frame.
Okay.
I just asked Mr. Lum, and he says he believes it was completed in 2020. I don't know what month, so that's going to be the big question.
Well, I think you're talking 2 years, so we talk years. So right now, you would have the right to go back and report things in 2020 and in 2021 because we're now, otherwise you got 23 days to get that report in, right?
Right, well, the specificity is which month.
Okay. Oh, I see. So it's actually by the month. Okay. Okay. So if this job credit report goes up to January 1, 2020, we really don't have a problem here.
We don't.
Okay, thank you. Just wanted to keep my numbers straight. Okay. Okay, based on that, I'd like to.
Wait a minute.
Sorry, more question.
Mr. Okuda.
Thank you, Gary Okuda. No, Chair, I was just going to say that when it's appropriate, I'd like to make a motion.
I've already had a request to make a motion as well from Commissioner Cabral. Would you mind if I refer to her?
You can refer it to her first.
You can second or offer a friendly amendment if you don't like what she does.
Of course.
Commissioner Cabral.
Yes.
But wait, we're not
okay.
there yet.
All right.
All right. Public testimony, last call. Once again, are there any members of the public at this point in time who would like to come forward and provide public testimony? Seeing none, we'll proceed further into deliberations. Commissioner, the chair will entertain a motion regarding how the commission should proceed in this matter. Any commissioner like to make a motion? Commissioner Cabral.
I would like to make a motion that would read, based on the submission by the petitioner and the receipt and acceptance by the Land Use Commission and by the State Office of Planning and Sustainability of the earned job credits that were submitted in accordance with Condition 1 of the 1994 decision and order, I would like to move to grant the petitioner's motion to approve job credits, noting that the motion may not affect any rights, remedies, or privileges of the petitioner under the existing laws. And I would like to authorize the Land Use Commission staff to make non-substantive changes to the conditions as appropriate regarding formatting, style, or other modification to ensure consistency, and authorize the chair of the Land Use Commission to sign the order in this manner on behalf of the commission. Thank you.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Chair, this is Gary Okuda. I second the motion.
Without a change?
This is Gary Okuda without a change.
Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner, would you like to speak in support of your motion?
Oh, yes, I appreciate what we've been through, and I really appreciate over my years that so many times we never come to a resolution. We just seem to kick the can down, and so many of the projects that we've discussed over the years have projects that got permission in the 1990s and are still not built and still don't have any houses for the public and the citizens or any kind of services or buildings or anything to accommodate people. They have instead just gone from one owner to bankruptcy to another owner to bankruptcy to something else. And appreciate the fact that you as the petitioner, the developers and the representatives for them, all of you present, have continued to work forward to try and do something. And I particularly appreciate that it appears that you've done this in respect of the community that you live in and are around your development. So thank you very much for your efforts to provide for our public.
Thank you, Commissioner Okuda.
This is Gary Okuda. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Let me preface my support by saying I asked these questions so that a couple of things, would be clear. Number one, that as much as I trust the representations of Curtis Tabata, who I think is a outstanding, excellent reputation in this town as a practicing attorney, I don't want any indication that he receives any special favors or anything like that from the commission, that he's treated the same way as everyone else. And with respect to that, the reason why I ask these questions about the conditions are not necessarily with Mr. Tabata's presentations, because he usually makes sure that conditions and representations that have been made will be followed later on. But unfortunately, that's not what happens with many people who appear in front of the commission. So it's necessary for us to carry out our duties to be sure that the law is enforced equally without fear or favoritism of anyone. I'm satisfied with the testimony of Mr. Lum, who I find credible, that the summaries were prepared in the normal course of business. It was prepared by him or someone else under his supervision who had personal knowledge of the underlying documents. So even though the rules of evidence don't strictly apply in these type of administrative proceedings, the testimony they give indicates essentially strict compliance or compliance with the rules of evidence if in fact applied. I'm satisfied with the testimony and the responses to the questions, including those of Commissioner Ohigashi, that there is a certification of the accuracy of the information. And so for those reasons and other good reasons in the record, I ask that the motion be all granted and voted in favor of. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Okuda. Well, let me just clarify that the motion is to approve the motion made by that's what we're discussing now. The motion is to approve the motion put forth by the petitioner. Commissioners, any further discussion?
Mr. Chair.
Where are we? Mr. Yamane.
I will be supporting this motion also. I just wanted to acknowledge the petitioner's submission of all the data and the state and the county and especially our LEC staff for going through the data. That's like kind of interesting. If you guys spend more than an hour, you spend more than I spent looking at the data. There's a lot of data go through and verifying percentages. Really appreciate the staff's work and especially our LEC staff. So I'll be supporting this motion. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Yamane. Anybody else? So the chair is also going to support this motion, and I tend to agree with Commissioner Cabral in that we sit here with, as a current commission, and a lot of what we have to deal with are decisions and orders that were made 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 years ago. And too often we see that things never went as planned. And as far as I can tell, this project has proceeded pretty close to how it was envisioned at the outset many years ago. And that's a credit to HASEKO and the organization. I also want to acknowledge that the only community personnel that I heard from were very supportive of not only the specific petition, but the role that you play in their community and what you've brought forth in their community. And that speaks volumes to us. I do very much appreciate that you did the infrastructure first. You'd be amazed how often we see that it's just not the case, and it becomes quite problematic. I also want to acknowledge both the city and county of Honolulu and the state for their role in this process and for them coming forth with succinct and supportive positions. And finally, I want to compliment Mr. Tabata for his case. And I always compliment him because more than any other attorney, he answers yes or no questions with a yes or a no. So thank you, Mr. Tabata. I really appreciate that because it helps us get to lunch on time. So if there's no further comment, I'm going to ask Mr. Orndenker to poll the commission on our motion.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The motion is to grant petitioner's motion to approve job credits, noting that the motion would not affect the rights, remedies, or privileges of the petitioner under existing law, and to authorize LUC staff to make non-substantive changes, and to authorize the chair to sign the order on this matter on behalf of the commission. Commissioner Cabral,
Yes.
Commissioner Okuda,
Yes.
Commissioner Atta, Commissioner Chang,
Aye.
Commissioner Kahele, Commissioner Kamakeo Hello,
Aye.
Commissioner Ohigashi,
Yes.
Commissioner Yamane,
Aye.
Chair Giovanni.
All right.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The motion passes with 9 votes unanimously.
Thank you, and thanks to all the parties who have participated today and to the public. Thank you for my fellow commissioners. There's no further business today. This meeting is adjourned.